In this piece, I want to talk about insurance. I do raise this on a regular basis, but today I want to talk about whether your policy is fit for purpose. So here's my first question. Here's the thing. Do you even know what cover you've got? When did you last even, do you even know where it is? Where is that policy? Have you got it out? Have you dusted it off? Do you know how much it's covering you for? Do you know whether it includes critical illness or not? Do you know how long the term is? When does it actually end? And when did you last review it? You should be reviewing it, in my opinion, every couple of years. And why? Because life happens. Life events will get it. I'm going to say get in the way. That's probably not the right phrase. But events do happen, and therefore they change your situation. They change your scenario. You may have gone from a single to a married couple. You may have gone from a married couple to having kids. You may have moved house. You may have larger or smaller mortgages. You may have other commitments. Your salary, your income situations change. All these have an impact on the type and amount of life insurance that you need to be fit for purpose and cover you for when that worst thing happens. And if you review it, you never know. It might turn out that you're actually overinsured. Can you imagine then that you can actually reduce your policy and maybe save some premiums? Or worse, you're actually underinsured. So when that bad thing really does happen and you dust that policy off, it's only then you realize that you've actually not got enough to cover the financial challenge that you're now finding that you and your family are in. When you do review that policy, is it in trust? I don't have time to explain what trusts are today, but take it from me that trusts are an amazing legal framework for your life insurance to sit in that could potentially save you thousands, tens of thousands of pounds in inheritance tax. It's very either cheap or even free to put in place. So have a look at your policy. Does it even mention that it's in trust? Is there a complementary document that says I am a trust document? If there's nothing of that around, it might be that it's not in trust, and therefore speak to the team about whether it's appropriate you put it in trust. You can put existing policies in trust quite often, but review it and see whether that is something that's appropriate for you. And the final question I want to pose back to you is, does this life policy actually pay the bills? Now, here's the question I want you to walk through. I see that when people have got life insurance, the thing that it always is put in place to do is to pay the residential mortgage off. That's the starting point. But here's the question I want to ask you. Is that enough? What if, one, you're a single person, so now if you're not here or you're unable to work, so your income has disappeared, or if you are a couple and the main wage earner's income has now disappeared, even if the mortgage is paid off, can you afford to live in the house? Can you afford, on whatever the residual income that's going to come into the family home, is there enough to maintain the lifestyle and pay the bills? Because if not, then you're selling that house anyway, which is not the point. The whole point is of these policies is so that you can keep the house over the family's head for as long as they need it. And if you've still got to sell that property, even if the mortgage is paid off because you can't afford the bills with the reduced income, then you need to think about tweaking that policy and either upping the cover so that there's enough money coming in to not only pay the mortgage off, but to ensure that you can maintain the family's lifestyles until such times as that maybe you want to downsize. Perhaps once kids are independent and they've left home, that might be a point at which you may not need that extra cover. So if you're thinking that that might be you, or you can't make sense of your policy and you just want to have a chat, no obligation. We do not charge any fees for our insurance advice. So speak to the team. We're independent in this area, and we'd be more than happy to give you our view on your situation.